What if I told you a small cap gold company in Newfoundland is about to launch the world's first AI guided precision mining operation in the same neighborhood as a $2.6 billion gold mine in one of the safest, most mining friendly jurisdictions on the planet? Great Atlantic Resources isn't just drilling for ounces, they're rewriting the rules of mining with surgical mining, starting production drilling in September. With high grade gold, critical minerals, and government backing, this is one interview you'll want to watch until the very end. And joining us is Chris Anderson, CEO of the company. Chris, welcome to Agora Call, my friend.
George, thanks for having me, and thanks for that wonderful introduction as well.
Well, look, you make it easy when you're doing such amazing things and you're connecting mining and AI, right? So,
Yeah.
and that's going to be my first question.
Okay.
You're advancing the world's first AI-powered surgical mining initiative at your project, with production drilling starting in September. How big of a game changer is this for mining and for Great Atlantic?
Okay, it's a game changer for both. Absolutely, phenomenal game changer. I want to mention our partners, which is Novamera. It's their technology, and there's two components to it. There's an AI guidance hole where they drill down and do guidance, so they're mapping the underground veins with precision. And then there is a bore drill, and this is kind of like older technology, but it's never been done and never been adopted in this way. Bore technology, bore drill is 2.5 meters, can go 1 meter to 10 meters. Ours is 2.5 meters, structured for the width of our high grade vein. And the guys running that are a seasoned group of engineers out of the Netherlands. They put in 80% of the windmills around the UK, and they have it's a family business. I went over there, George, I met them myself. So it's a $4 million drill, and it's kind of like an RC drill. It drills down and the material comes out the center, right? The water's all inclusive, right? So it's non-invasive, environmentally friendly. Your footprint is very small. So you don't have to, on small high grade veins, this is going to change the mining industry like phenomenal if this works. So,
and practically speaking, for people who don't know what that means, just give people a layman a description of that as to what it means to be going right into the vein.
So normally you have a small high grade narrow vein, say it's 1.5 meters, 2 meters, they pinch out back and forth, right? To do that, you have to open up an 8 to 12 foot portal. You have to have a bunch of guys. You have to build a head frame, and you got to bring in it's a big undertaking. Okay. This particular application, and permitting as well. This particular application, you set the bore drill on top of the vein once it's been mapped out, and you just follow it down. In our particular case, there'll be two guys, one running the drill and one running the computer at surface, right? And on the front of the bore drill, which makes it unique and the first time it's ever been done in the world, is in the oil industry, they have directional drilling, but it's on a small scale, right? And so Polymera out of Italy built the head for this bore drill. It's the first time it's brought over to Newfoundland. All this equipment from Italy and Netherlands is over. It's on the site. They're testing it on our site right now. And that's why it's timing for our talk. But the directional head, as the drill is going down, drilling out 2.5 meters of material, and hopefully that's mostly material that contains the vein. And the directional head,
that contains gold.
That contains gold, and we can talk about that in a minute. But the directional head, so you're avoiding any waste rock, right? You're avoiding a lot of manpower. And I'll give you an example of our neighbor in a minute. But so with the directional head, you can alter the direction of the drill as it's going down, right? And it's following the vein, so you're maximizing the ore material you're taking out, right? So our neighbor, who's literally 1 kilometer away from our chain of properties in the same belt, is Equinox. And like you mentioned in your opening, they're 2.6 billion, right? They're now at about 5 million ounces, all inferred. Their annual production is that they're starting in the third quarter here will be about 200 ounces, okay? Annual production.
200,000 ounces.
200,000 ounces. Their land package is about 32 kilometers long. Ours is about 30 some odd kilometers long. They got 20 some odd hectares of ground. We got 20 some odd hectares of ground. They're on the Victoria Lake Superbelt. We're on the Victoria Lake Superbelt. We've got high-grade multiple gold veins from one end to the other over the whole thing, but we've done a small resource on the upper portion of one vein, and that's called the Jacqueline North. And their all-in sustaining costs are around $870 to $900 US an ounce is what they expect as an average. Using our bore method, okay, we expect that we should come in somewhere around 20% of that. And they've spent
80% reduction. 80% reduction.
Yeah, and they've spent $100 million and plus in capex, and these drills that are being done for us, the drills themselves are around $4 million, right? So they're not cheap, but we're hiring a contractor to do that, right? So the contractor comes in, and you can put these things on different faces, you can implement it. In this particular case, you said production drilling, it's actually a bulk sample, and our partners in there is Novamera has developed the technology. Digital Cluster of Canada, that this is their first digital mining investment that they put in. So a few years ago, they chose our project out of all the different projects. We were on consultation with Memorial University's part of this, UBC University's part of this, my tech out there and ACOA out there are also contributing to it. The Newfoundland government has put in about $500,000, and Digital Clusters put in. So we got about $6.6 million in grant money, and then Novamera is betting their company and putting $4 million into this project and doing this. Now that money is to build the equipment, advance the guidance tools. The guidance holes have all been done and drilled. The equipment's all been registered and bought and paid for, and the contracts are over there and they're drilling with camps all installed and all that stuff. We'll put out some news and show everybody where we're at. I've done a little bit, but we're ready to go. And we want to start the beginning of September, that first week. But we'll get some news out about that and show people what's going on there. And then so this non-invasive new technology, once the veins mapped out, is you basically look targeting payload material, right? So you avoiding waste rock, avoiding manpower, and if you think about it, so the guidance tool now, since we started it was about 3 years ago, I guess we started talking, and then we had all these Zoom calls, and finally, I have 20 people on the Zoom calls, and we're all going through everything. And they narrowed it down. They chose our project. We proceeded on that manner. And if this all works, we've got a whole bunch of litany of companies lined up behind us that want to use this technology and this drill. But what we did is we made an arrangement with Novamera at our call, if we like it, we like the costs, we like the way it all works out, they've agreed to continue on for the next 5 years, advancing our particular mining project. In Newfoundland,
let me stop you there for a second.
Sure.
Chris, this wouldn't be possible if this was 5 years ago, right? Like, in other words, if you had to go this is such a massive game changer for Great Atlantic that if this was 5 or 7 years ago, this would have been a $10 million you'd have to just on this plus $100 million to build a mine, right? Or more.
Yeah.
That's how big of a game changer this is. Can you take us down that path a little bit as to how this changes the economics for you and changes the whole game for you?
Well, our neighbor's got basically same size land package. They got 5 million ounces. They got, we've got multiple high grade veins covering over our 30 kilometers. So what happens if we've got 5 million ounces? Well, would we go in and spend $100 million and build, that? No, we don't need to do that. Well, as a matter of fact, normally in these situations, we'd probably be a takeover target if as we build out our resource and go forward. But in this particular case, if we can do 50,000 tons a year under the Small Mines Act, just as it is right now, I mean, we're averaging on our resources 10.4 grams, right, per ton. And so 50,000 tons a year, 4.9, concentrating on just the material that we want to take out. We're going to put out some numbers on our recoveries and stuff shortly. We're avoiding all that capex. We can go right into it. We can do this bulk.
Unbelievable.
Sample. We can do this bulk sample. We can analyze everything, and then we can make a decision about whether we want to proceed. We've already had a mining license on this property in the past, and the mining license is you survey the area you want to mine, and then you show the government that you've got an economical project that can move forward using the mining methods you want to use. We think that's going to be the case. So we would apply and reinstate the mining license and continue under the small mining license in Newfoundland, working towards doing 50,000 tons a year. While we're doing that, we've already got the Jacqueline North Zone. We've already got a permit out there on 30 to drill 33 holes out there. We think that feeds in the whole underground system. We think this is a big system, right? Like
One big spider web. One big spider web.
You know, we have to, you know, precaution. You know, we do think it's a multi-million ounce potential for this project, right? And that's why we've avoided all the offers to take the project off our hands in the past, right? And because we just don't know what we got there. Well, you know, 30 kilometers of high-grade veins up and down, and we've got over-ounce material in different veins. There's just a lot of opportunity there. And I don't feel that our property's any less value than our neighboring property. But
that's saying something. That's saying something there, Chris. Let me bring it back down in size. This particular permit that you've been approved for is for 2,700 tons. It's
correct.
almost like a test, right? So
Yes.
talk to us about what exactly it means to do a bulk sample, 2,700 tons. What are you looking to achieve out of this? Is it you want to get some revenue from that? You want to prove that the technology is taken out? Tell us about what this first 2,700 tons does.
We want to make sure that this mining approach on the high narrow vein works with the bore drill, with the directional head. Okay, that's our main objective. It does. It costs, you know, and it hits the numbers that we think, 20-25% of traditional mining costs, right?
That's diabolical.
Phenomenal, right? And then the second thing is that we've already, you know, we got some news that's coming up on the recoveries and stuff that have been tested already with credible labs, and we got that news coming. What Great Atlantic has done, we've installed a portable processing plant on site as well, and that'll be included. And we'll be taking the free gold and putting that in the safety deposit box at the local bank. And then we're going to be creating 2 cons in there, a 60% con and a 15% con. Those cons will be sent off to 2 of the other labs for testing to develop a recipe for developing the dory bars. And while we're analyzing the overall cost and the operation of everything that goes, and if it all works out, our next step after this bulk sample would be moved towards operating under the Small Mining Act in Newfoundland, right?
And at that point you go for 50,000 tons. So I know you can't give out numbers yet, but help me out with back of the napkin math. Just for now, 2,700 tons, and you're averaging, let's just call it 10. It's 10.4, but let's just make the math easy. You're averaging 10 grams of gold per ton. Correct. So that would mean 27,000 grams per gold of gold, which, if I know my math, and I hope I'm not wrong, it's going to be about 1,000 ounces of gold.
I think it'd be under that, right? A little under that. And then you also have to take.
Yeah, I'm just rounding. I'm rounding just to make the math easy.
And then you have to take in recoveries, which we haven't published, but our neighbors' recoveries are around 94%. Okay. And I think we got a good chance to hit the same recoveries, but we've got some numbers we're going to put out in a news release shortly. And the other part is how well the directional drilling works on following the vein itself, right? And that's a key component here. If it works really well.
That's where the AI comes in, right, Chris? Because it's following the vein. So when you were talking earlier about waste rock, it's not going through a bunch of just dead rock, right, and just spitting dirt back up. It's following the vein. If people can see my hands on the screen, it's kind of S curving, going up, going down, but is that easier said than done, or is the technology from Novamera just that fantastic?
I think on this each particular project is different, okay? But on our particular vein that dips, the way it dips and everything, it looks like this is going to be a very successful project. And if I was Novamera and I was putting $4 million of my own money in to first test the sample, I'd want to have the best project with the best opportunity of showing success, right? Yeah. And especially with all the different eyeballs we've had in evaluating the project and trying to make a decision on which project to go with to do this test and dole out $10 million to try it. I think we've got the right project, and I think we've got the right amount of due diligence and success by the guidance holes, which have now proven their noteworthiness. And now it's about testing the directional head on the bore drill. And we could be off, if we were off 70%, we're still going to come out ahead. I mean,
Yeah.
it's great to land
The
for,
margin of error is huge
yeah,
here.
yeah. But the better it is that it can follow the vein structure as it's going down, and the more potential rock that's got recoverable grades in it is what's key, and that's what we're testing as well. Now another interesting thing is that the head on the bore drill can also adjust the particle size, which allows us, because we're running a portable plant out there from Mount Baker Minerals in the U.S. and so the particle size is also going to contribute to optimize our recoveries, right? And with this directional head, it can also adjust to the particle size. So depending on the material, the hardness of the rock, but there's a cost that's borne either by the operator or borne by the mill, right? There's, they can make a higher grade and less cost for them, or a smaller grade and less cost for the mill. It's kind of a win-win. In this particular situation, we want to optimize, have the less cost, and be able to optimize the recovery that we can there. So if all that works out as it will, we can, now we roll into the, small mining permit, and we're going to use that to explore the rest of the property and build out that resource that we think that we have there, right? And if we do that, we've got a choice. We can continue on under the small mines permit and continue doing what we're doing and creating cash flow for the company.
50,000 tons a year is 500,000 grams. Take the recovery, but that's a lot of money. And by the way, we're not saying it's going to happen for anybody watching. Yeah. They got to go through this. But there's a reason why Chris and his team are out there. They're not playing small ball. And by the way, if I can say, Chris, third-party validation, I've always said, is paramount when it comes to small cap mining, because George, the CEO of George Gold, of course he's going to say, you said a couple minutes ago, I think we got the right project. If I had a nickel for every CEO who says they got the right project, I'd make more money from that than from some of the investments. But you've got the third-party validation because you've got Novamera, who selected your project specifically because they had an option. They could have gone to other projects. They selected you. Yeah. You've got Canada's digital supercluster. I want to talk a little bit about them. And you got so talk about that third-party validation that differentiates you, because not just Chris tooting his own horn and talking his own book. You've got big money and very smart people saying, we also think something is here. Talk to me about the third-party validation.
Yeah, well, they it's been evaluated by UBC. They're part of the consulting team. University of British Columbia and Memorial University is also actively involved. And we have a steering committee. We meet every month, and these parties are all part of it. And ICOA, which is one of the mining granting funds out there on the East Coast, and MyTech, another one, and then Digital Cluster. And Digital Cluster, out of all the applications for mining projects that they could have chose, right, for their digital innovations investments in Canada, they chose this project, right? So
that's huge, man.
We spent a year and a half, discussing all of this, and I was party to it all as they were narrowing the projects down and choosing this project. And so and to go a little bit further, George, it's been hard with the markets to raise money and to do all those things, and our stock price is down. I mean, we had a couple of high net worth investors. One of them, as you know, Eric Sprott, has been an investor with GR, and they put their money in at 40, 50, 60, 70 cents, right? And we haven't rolled the stock back. The stock came down. We've always invited everybody in who was in the past. And so a small group of us have been funding it over the last few years as it goes. And
love that resilience, by the way. Love that you're putting your money where your mouth is.
Do you know who Jesse Livermore is?
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. Okay. Reminiscence of a stock operator.
He's an investor.
No, Jesse Livermore was one of the. He come up from the grave to invest in our stock.
Oh, okay. I'm thinking about the guy at X. Oh, he must be using Jesse's name. Okay, I'm thinking about there's a big finance guy named Jesse Livermore on X, and that's who you're talking about.
Yeah, Jesse Livermore was around in 1870 to about 1940, and he became a Wall Street, he lost millions and everybody was a stock trader. And if you read his book, Reminiscence of a Stock Operator, I have lots of copies in my office. I always hand it out to the young guys when they come in and say, here, read this, right? But Jesse Livermore says you either believe it or you don't believe it. You're either in or you're not in, right? I own 30% of the stock myself in my name, right?
Love that.
And I've been putting the money up myself, right? Like and it's been hard, you know what I mean? We've been, struggling to make it through, but I haven't wanted to live in daylight sort of the stock because I believe in what we're doing. And we just had to get to this point where we are now. We haven't done any marketing. And I've talked about that, before about how critical it is to start your marketing when you're actually going to do something. Because we've had a couple false starts in the market and I just didn't feel that we were ready to go. So your money goes in the ground, but you also have to invest in the market. You have to invest. You have to drill for investors, just like you drill for resources.
You got to tell the world. That's
you
why
got to
we're
put
here.
those eyeballs out there, right? And a small junior company with so many different options, everybody's got. It's so easy to fail, but the right timing of when to launch the marketing in combination with what you're doing on the ground, I don't think there's a better scenario in my 20-year history of doing this than GR has right now, because we are literally have all the equipment there. We've been telling people what we've been doing. We've been low key on it. We haven't been, doing a lot of IR. We don't even have an IR person on the team yet, right? We're looking for one, by the way. But we starting
Send in your resumes.
Yeah, we're starting, with yourself, and we just started I did another interview last week. We're just starting to get that launch out there because we want to get exposure now as we move forward, because we think we've got a really amazing story to tell. And so we want to time that investment with marketing with what we got here. We did a couple of small little financings just recently. The stock went a little bit high. We finished off what we did and we didn't continue. And we've got a bunch of warrants out there in the market that is going to bring in some capital. We want to redeploy that back into some marketing as we go forward here. And I think once the market really understands what we're doing and how much of a game changer this is, not only for us, but for the whole mining industry, and the fact that we do have a lockdown to continue on and an opportunity to continue on under the Small Mines Act. Yeah. It's not like we're going to do this stop, right? If this works like we think it's going to work and all these other people think it's going to work, we're going to move forward, right? And then who knows? What we did in anticipation of all that, we've consolidated all those gold assets into a wholly owned sub company of Great Atlantic called Gold and Promise Mines Inc. I did that a few years ago. And so that's 100% owned by GR. So if something comes up down the road to take that public, or we get an offer, or we want to just continue mining, that's for the benefit of all the Great Atlantic shareholders, right?
That's awesome.
So
by the way, let's talk about, because we're talking about the project and how much gold you got. Like now, let's talk about that. Golden Promise hosts 120,000. It's 118,900. I'm just rounding up by 100 to 120,000 ounces of gold.
Yeah.
At 10.4 grams per ton of gold.
Yes.
To a lot of people, that doesn't sound like a big deposit because we're so used to hearing George Gold, 2.2 million ounces, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. But not all ounces are equal, because I can have 3 million ounces somewhere in some remote place, either in Canada or some other continent, and it's on the side of a mountain, and I need hundreds of millions of dollars to get to it. So put your grade and your resource into perspective for us.
Yeah.
In terms of, talk to us about that.
So on the bulk sample, we did choose a little, we pinholed that. We could probably easily upgrade the resource there as it is now. And there's also holes down to the extension because the vein dips down. We haven't included those in the resource as well. And then there's a series of veins to the north, which we're going to test with all this. But we have 120,000 ounces for all purposes at near surface, right? And all accessible with this technology, right? So for the next little while, that 119,000 ounces of 10.4 grams as an average is accessible with this technology. How much we capture with a bore drill, how much goes in and out, that's the purpose of this. But we've got the right vein and it dips down the right way. And we think, well, I don't know if you know this expression, but you drill for structure and you drift for grade. And we pulled out, we built, when this deposit was first found, there was some really beautiful high chunks of visible gold in here. And we've shown a lot of it in some of the news releases. But as you start drilling, if you imagine you're drilling a little hole and to hit some visible gold in there and to capture that grade from that little hole that you get, that's pretty rare. That's pretty phenomenal that you got it. So to build a resource based on those little holes, but how do you know you're not off beside a big pocket of gold right beside that, right? So that's why they say you drill for structure and you drift for grade. And usually you anticipate that if you've got a structure that's averaging that and you through your drill holes, when you go to drift, you're going to get all the gold, right? So you're going to miss all those others. So we expect maybe it might be a little more promising than what our numbers are, right? But
And we won't know until this bulk sample, this first. But as soon as that's done, you're gonna be able to come back on here and say, okay, George, based on this, if we repeat this, because now then it's if we repeat this for the entire project, this is the potential. These are
yeah,
the potential numbers we got. But
and
that's why I'm glad you said that, because, like I said, I could have 4 million ounces on the side of a mountain in some place, and I can't get to it, or I need $200 million to get to it. Potentially, if this goes the way it's going, you're going to be able to grab this 120,000, a lot of these 120,000 ounces. Do the math, you know,
yeah,
$3,500 right now, US. You're
yeah,
talking about 3 to 6. You're talking about $420 million potentially, if I'm doing quick math correctly,
yeah,
in overall revenue. Chris, if everything went well, if everything
yeah,
did go well, not
yeah.
perfect, nothing goes perfect, but if everything went well, how long would it take you, do you think, to get those 120,000 ounces out based on this system? How long would it take you
Well,
for you to get that money out?
if you're going under the Small Mines Act, you
Yeah.
probably at 50,000 tons at 10 grams, you're probably in that 16 to 20,000 ounces a year, right? So it's not a lot, but it's a lot of money to Great Atlantic, right? Especially with
Anybody, what are you talking about?
yeah,
20,000 is back of the napkin math is $70 million a year. I'm just doing
yeah,
quick basic math.
yeah,
That's
and
pretty
and
good.
that's if you think the gold price is going to stay at this level too, and then
Yeah, that's assuming no increase.
yeah, and then on top of that, this is this resource the small amount of the resource is only the upper portion of one vein that continues on that we do have drill holes in, and other areas that we do know it continues, right? We have numbers in there, right? So we want to use that to expand and go and develop that further. Under the Small Mines Act, we're capped, right? But if the technology works and everything works, and we start off under that, why don't we go? We could expand. There's nothing that says we can't put 4 or 5 of these units on different locations and have different phases running and put in a central processing plant right there on the property and deal with the
Yep.
whole thing, right? We're not laying on.
But even then, what I love is if you couldn't do anything else and all you had these 120,000 ounces and it worked out, that's still a company maker.
Yeah. Well, we haven't even talked about everything else in GR. And we own the project 100%. We own all our projects 100%. And George, that we're not far from Grand Falls. So you can buy a coffee and drive to the project if you want to, right? We're not helicopters. We're on highway roads, right? Like it's phenomenal. We're not flying in
You
with
can go to Tim's for lunch and then
yeah.
come back.
You can go to Tim's for lunch and come back. We're not going to do that, right? Because it's, an hour and a
I'm
half.
just saying, just to
I
give
don't want
everyone some
yeah.
perspective.
Yeah, yeah. But like convenience for labor and all that kind of stuff. Grand Falls is right there. Like a whole town is already set up there. Power set up there. We're looking at new innovative ways to, if it all works out, new innovative ways to power the situation, and there's lots of new opportunities there as well. And we like to look at those. Obviously, we like to test. We take there's you know, the first one to the river drinks the purest water. That's a French saying. Have you heard that?
No, I've never heard that. Man,
Uh,
I'm pretty well read, and you're giving me stuff that I haven't heard before.
well, let me give you one that you probably know because it comes from and it fits with your nationality. Comes from a Greek comedy play that was done in 160 BC, right? And what is it? It's called Fortitude Fortude. What is it? What's it called?
Fortune favors the bold. The bold.
Uh, 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 Fortune favors the bold, yeah, the brave. Fortune favors the brave, right? But I think the Romans, when they said it, they said Fortitude Fortu Avenat. This was a marching tune that they had, right? That they used to use. and it comes from a Greek comedy play in around 160 BC.
I'm loving this interview. This is one of the best interviews I've done in a long time, Chris, because we're talking great stuff and we're talking 160 BC,
Yeah,
sayings from ancient Greece. That's a one last question for you,
one.
because
Okay.
we're at 30 minutes and
Yeah,
this has felt like it's been 10.
yeah.
This is cooking. This has been awesome. Real estate always has that famous saying, location, location, location. I'm sure you've heard of that one.
Yeah, yeah.
Location. You are in you are in location, 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 because Newfoundland's exploit subzone is one of the hottest gold camps in Canada.
Yes.
$1 billion mines being built, and you're in a great neighborhood, right? It's not like you're taking a shot here and people say, "Where's Chris going? He's out in the middle of nowhere." Talk to us a little bit about why it's so important that the neighborhood is so well to do at the same time.
Well, it's a lot. It started when the railroads in Newfoundland had a lot of the patents of the ground, so the discovery of this belt was held up until those railroad releases were released, right? And so our property that we acquired I actually acquired it in December of 2015 by the award-winning prospector out there. There's never been found gold there. And when Marathon and the other guys working beside us were 1 million ounces, now they're 5 million ounces. Now they just closed a $2.6 billion deal, right? They are literally, we didn't stake up to their property. I have one of our Golden Promise properties is called Golden Trust. A very promising, we're working on it this year, but that property is literally 1 kilometer away from the boundary of Equity property, right? And they're at 5 million ounces, 30 kilometers long, 20 some odd hectares. We're 30 kilometers long, 20 some odd hectares. We got gold veins from one end to the other, right? We got 5 assets in that belt. We've been completely staked around over the years, and then trouble, and some dropped and some restaked and all that, but we've maintained all our ground. Our Golden Promise property, that is our gem of all the properties, is like 16 hectares itself alone, right? And it's got all kinds of nice, beautiful multi-ounce showings all over it. And then on the other side of us is Newfound Gold, and that runs down the belt. And on the other side of Newfound Gold is our other property, which is called South Quarry, and that's is an operating tungsten mine. You go to our website, an operating quarry mine, which you can see on our website. In that quarry mine, we just recently were the first to discover emeralds in Newfoundland. Here's some of the emeralds here, right?
Emeralds, I didn't even know that was possible.
Yeah, I know. The third in Canada to discover emeralds there, and the first in Newfoundland to discover emeralds there. So we had the American Institute of Gemology come up last year, and they did a full piece on us, along with Memorial University and the prospector there, Art Gardner. If you go to his link page, you'll see all that stuff. But I gave him permission to go in there because the chemistry was right within the pegmatites for potential emerald, gem quality emeralds. So we got a whole other facet of the company that is emerald related, and people are excited about it. So I'm mentioning it here because I know some people ask about it all the time. We are advancing that. We do have a program coming up for that here shortly as well.
I didn't even know. Chris,
Yeah.
I got to tell you, we're working together, and I didn't even know that the emeralds were even in play.
Yeah,
I didn't
no,
know
I
that was
know
in
we
play.
don't talk about it. I don't want to distract people, but we got like 13 assets in the company that we picked up over the last 20 years. Dave Martin and I have worked together for 20 years. We paid them all off. We own them 100%, and we've owned them
Bravo,
for a reason, right? We own them
bravo.
for a reason. I think, George, also the investors should know that we've got a couple other things because we want to lighten our load. So there's probably a couple other deals that are going to come out here shortly. Hopefully, if everything works out as planned, that'll also provide a little extra cash and a position for us. We're going to offload some of our other key assets. We've been approached there's a lot of Australian companies hunting for some key assets and I think we have some
It's like you said before, you either believe or you don't. You guys are believing this, so you might as well go all in, all your attention, all
Yeah,
here. And if you can lighten the load, like you said, sell off a couple of other good projects, bring in some non-dilutive cash, and
yes,
get then Chris, what I can't wait for, here's the amazing part. You and I are just, this is almost like the appetizer because we're waiting for the 2,700 ton bulk sample to take place.
yeah,
And that's gonna be the real kickoff, fingers crossed, obviously. But
yeah.
this has been amazing, man. I mean, we could keep on talking, but I think we got to save some energy
Yeah, you got to
for
see.
We got to
Yeah.
save when the 27 after. When do you think we'll be back? Like, when is this
Well,
done?
we're, we're,
And then when ballpark do you think? What tell investors at least the uh what the cadence looks like for the next 30. Is this 30, 60 days, 90 days? What does this look like? This first part here, the 2,700 tons.
well, we announced that we were mobilizing everything out there, so I think I'm okay with saying that we've got everything out there now. We're going to put out some news and show everybody the site and everything, and we're testing, and we're anticipating that the first bulk sample, we're doing 3 of these holes on the vein structure, and the first one we're anticipating to start at the beginning of September, right? And we're probably like, it'll be the first hole. So if we imagine that these holes take a month or so to do, then within 3 or 4 months, we should have the bulk sample completed, right? And while we're doing
Along the way, will you be providing some updates? Like, hey,
oh,
here's how number
absolutely,
one went. Here's how
100%,
number
yes,
two went.
yeah, 100%. And the right away, we're setting up. Great Atlantic has got our team out there as well. We're setting up like I said, a mobile processing plant on site, right? And so day one, as materials coming out, we'll be addressing that as well. So we'll be showing that as well. And, we anticipate there'll be free gold, a 60% con, a 15% con, and all that's videoed and monitored and tracked and everything. So, we put in a gold monitoring protocol in place so that the government was comfortable and everybody was comfortable with what we were doing. And so we'll be showing updates on all of that stuff as we
Yeah,
go along.
because so many people are watching you. Going back to the
Yeah,
partners they're watching really closely. So
yeah,
there's the investors, there's the management team, there's the partners. All eyes are on this, and now people at home that are watching and listening to this, their eyes are going to be on this too, Chris. I can't wait to see what starts coming out. And I've known you for a long time, and that's why I would love to see nothing more than you and your team and the shareholders of GR, a lot of whom have been around for a while, get rewarded for their patience. You guys get rewarded for your persistence, and I can't wait to have you back. But thanks for this, Chris. Like I said, we could go easily another 30 minutes, but we don't want to. We want to save some for later too.
okay. Well, thanks for having me, George. Appreciate it.
Chris, thanks for being here. For everybody at home, thanks for joining us. Hope you love this. Great Atlantic, stock symbol GR. You got to go put them on your watch list. Go back and read previous press releases. Tell your friends about this interview. Watch it again. Let's do it again. Run it through ChatGPT. Say what ChatGPT says, but it's going to be fun to watch Great Atlantic for the next 3-4 months as we get through this bulk sample, and we can't wait. And I hope you feel the same way. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Have a great day. See you next time.
Bye-bye.
Hey, small cap fam. I hope you loved this interview because more than a dozen people were involved in its production for the sole purpose of making you happy. If so, can you take a moment to support both our awesome guest company and Agoracom? Your engagement means the world to us. First, if you enjoyed this video, give us a thumbs up by tapping that like button. It's a small gesture that helps this interview reach even more potential investors to discover today's guest. Second, we would love to hear your feedback on this interview, so please leave a comment below. Be sure to keep it clean, but feel free to poke fun at George. If you loved what you heard on today's video and want to dig into our guest company right away, take a look at the links in the description below. And while you're at it, hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell to never miss another great Agoracom small cap video. Thank you so much. We couldn't do any of this without you. Make sure to come back soon.